Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Check Ride Chat. Again, we keep saying this every time, but I'm Wally, and
I'm Jason.
all right,
That hasn't changed.
maybe we need to come up with a new introduction. I don't know. Anyway, so we finished all the stuff about the ACS, or not the entire ride, but we finished the ground portion. We're gonna get away from that on today's episode. We've had some people write in and ask us about how to become a DPE. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. The kind of maybe a month in the life of a DPE. Some of the ins and outs of what we deal with. And let me first start by saying it's a good gig. We would not be doing it if it were not a good gig.
I enjoy it.
That's the thing.
It's fun.
I enjoy it. A lot of applicants will say, do you enjoy being a DPE? And I just tell them, well, if I didn't enjoy being a DPE, I would quit being a DPE. I mean, they're not holding a gun to our heads making us do this job. So, when was the first time you thought about becoming a DPE, Jason?
I would say, if I had to put a year to it, I'm gonna say about 2007.
Okay.
Maybe early part of 2008.
So that was how many years before you actually became one?
What is it now? 26. So 13 years.
Okay. All right. I would say with me, it was before I became a private pilot. My father's the one who planted the seed. We're driving around one day, and he said, "That's really what you ought to be one day. You ought to try to become an examiner." And I didn't really have any aspirations to do it. My airline career happened. I worked as an instructor, a check pilot, check airman, and APD, which is kind of like an airline version of a DPE, on several different airplanes, and it just kind of organically happened. I mean, I was totally out of general aviation, and my daughters wanted to fly, and so they started taking flying lessons. We bought into a partnership on an airplane. Next thing I know, I owned a little airplane and didn't know how to fly from here to Brenham, and I got back into it, and one thing led to another, and I remember talking to a DPE, and he encouraged me, and I applied, and I think from the day that I applied to the day I became a DPE was probably 6-7 years. It was a long process.
So one thing you had, I think we'll talk about this obviously. I think one thing you said you had the APD, you had the LCA,
right,
the LCP, however you want to say it. I didn't get my check airmanship until much later,
right,
and that was actually one of the requirements.
Yeah.
So I think I had everything except that.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the big contingencies, at least for the Houston FSDO.
Right.
Was they wanted a check airman for you had to be a check airman for at least 12 months within the preceding 36 months.
Right.
And that rules out, and that's a 120. That could be for a 121 and 135. That could be the 141 check airman. So any of those, that was, I think, the one thing I was lacking.
Yeah, just very easily. I mean, probably the easiest way to learn the requirements is go to the FAA website, FAA.gov. In the search bar, just type in how to become a DPE, and you're going to get some things will come up. Will tell you the requirements that they do, like high flight time, so it is conducive to airline pilots who fly a lot. And again, they're looking for checking experience, and that's a lot of people will say, well, I was a check airman at my commuter job 15 years ago, so I have that, and it's 12 months within the preceding 36 months, so it's recent experience.
The check airman part of it, it's the validating, it's the unbiased, non-opinion. It's you are calling balls and strikes. I can't say it's non-emotion, but emotion doesn't go into it. Opinion doesn't go into it. There is a standard, and I do that every day at work for
Yeah.
United.
Yeah. So the process is applying, and things have changed since I became a DPE. I mean, uh, and quite frankly, I don't know exactly the process that you go through today, but I know you apply on a national level,
Correct.
and they come back and they tell you whether you meet the requirements.
That's almost instantaneous.
Yeah, yeah, and it's there's no interview. It's not do they like you. It's do you meet the requirements. And I got the letter back says, okay, you meet the requirements. Now your local FSDO has to determine that there is a need.
Yeah, so that letter back, you're going to apply, and it's an extensive application, quite
Yes.
honestly.
Yes.
And we'll get to the electronic logbook recommendation here in just a second, but that has that has nothing to do with becoming a DPE, but your breakdown of flight time. If you
Right.
have an e-logbook, that is going to help.
Yeah.
That's just going to help with airline interviews for
Right.
that matter. But you get an email back, you meet the minimum
Right.
qualifications.
Right. Right.
So your app now, instead of applying to your local FSDO, you apply, and Oak City holds everything. And then if your local FSDO deems necessary, we want 1, 2, 3, whatever DPEs, your local FSDO will solicit Oak City.
Yeah.
Oak City says, here, this is everybody that's applied that meets the minimum quals, and now your local FSDO they will start, I guess, the vetting process.
Right.
They'll investigate, they'll ask other people about you, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I remember asking another DP. I says, well, what can I do? And this was Rick Hill, and he said you got to get your name known down at the FSDO, and the best way to get your name known at the FSDO is to mess up. He said, so you don't want to do that. You want to get it known.
You want to help.
So, I became a FAST team member, started getting involved in the general aviation community, participating in seminars and that kind of stuff. So it is, they do need to know who you are. It was, as soon as I got that initial letter back from the national FAA saying, okay, you meet the requirements, I was all excited. I picked up the phone, I called the FSDO and said, hey, I got my letter, when do I start? And they basically laughed at me. And they said, we have to have a need. And I said, well, okay.
So let me add to that. So to the best of my knowledge, that need, flat out, is there a need for DPEs? I would say absolutely. But there's more than just a need. My understanding is there's people at the FSDO that handle DPEs.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes.
And those are air safety investigators, or ASIs, is that?
Yeah.
Am I saying this right?
Yeah, and we call them our managing specialist.
Yeah.
Is what
so to make it easy, I think Houston has 14 DPEs, I think. So each ASI can handle 7, right? So we're maxed out because Houston only has 2 ASIs,
right,
or 2 managing specialists.
Right.
So meaning so that's 7 and 7, that's 14. If you want DPE number 15, you need another ASI. Right. So there has to be would you agree with that?
Yeah,
that is how it got passed down with me. So it's a lot of moving parts.
Right, the numbers may not be exactly
Correct.
right, but the FAA has to have the ability to manage us, and they obviously have oversight on us, and we're in touch with our. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's sporadic. I mean, there are times where we'll hear from our managing specialist 3 times in a week, and then I may go 2 months without hearing from them.
I want to say at that level, we're all professionals.
Yeah.
I would say we self-manage pretty well.
Yeah.
And we hold a standard, so I would say we rarely quote unquote mess up.
Yeah.
If we mess up, we hear from our managing specialist.
And a lot of times it's
administrative.
It's administrative. I didn't check a box that should have been checked.
Correct.
So,
but yeah, so that's that. So you apply to Oak City. Oak City, when your FSDO says they need somebody, Oak City gives your local FSDO everybody that's applied. Your local FSDO now vets. They pick kind of who they want, and then it's an interview process.
Yeah.
That's logbook examination. That's a one-on-one. Tell me about yourself. Very much airline interview-esque. And then I actually had to do, before I was, knighted, okay, thank you, we'd like to kind of hire you. I actually had to go up in a plane to prove that I could fly.
Okay.
I pretty much in one basically about an hour and a half, 2-hour flight, I did a private instrument and commercial check ride, back to back, pretty much.
I did the same thing, and I talked to the gentleman. I said, well, what can I expect? And he says, well, we're going to do a private commercial instrument check ride. I went, okay.
Yeah.
We went out, and that's what we did.
And that's what So, and then after that was that. Then you get sent, you get sent up to Oklahoma City for, it's a week. And that's the ins and outs. That's the administrative. That's the login, the computer, how to conduct check rides, etc. So you get sent to
before you do that, you do part one. Part one you do at home online.
Those are all your POAs.
I don't know. It's maybe 8 hours in front of a computer,
yep.
But it's good. Sometimes it's dry, but it's good. But then you go to Oak City for a week.
And it's one-on-one. It's very interactive.
Yeah.
They don't pay for that. That's out of our pocket. That's our days off, et cetera, et cetera. And then after that, then you have to find, at least I did, then you have to approach flight schools and introduce yourself. And hey, I'm the new kid on the block.
Yeah. Well, before that, you're going to get observed by the FAA.
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay, yeah.
So I approached some flight schools, and luckily I knew a lot of the DPEs in the area. So that wasn't very hard, but you have to go find an applicant willing, and I didn't charge for that.
Right.
The first one I did was free, and then when I got my multi authorizations, that was free. But you have to find applicants willing to sit in a room with a brand new DPE giving you a check ride with the representative from the FSDO sitting right behind them. So a lot of people do not want to do that.
Right.
So, but keep in mind, just tangent back to one of the very, very first episodes, when we put into DMS our check ride, what we're doing, where we're doing it, when we're doing it, at any point in any time, the FSDO is 1,000% authorized to show up and sit in to audit said check ride. And again, keep in mind, this is to all the applicants, they are not looking at you. They are looking at us.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you. So if that hopefully makes you calm down a little bit, no, the check rides aren't harder. Again, it's a standard. We hold a standard. We're going to do whatever the ACS, or whatever is rather in the ACS. So, but there's lots and lots of stuff. Just once to select the DPE and then get the DPE spooled up, and then to get the DPE online to be able to give rides.
And I would say this, you and I have the same managing specialist. I think he does a good job. He will brief the applicant and kind of explain to them why he's there, which they probably already know. But he will go sit in the corner of the room, and I would venture to say that most of my applicants forget that he's there because he's just a fly on the wall.
I had a line check just the other day, and I actually forgot he was in the flight deck, and that they're observing. Then they won't, unless it's a phase of, or not critical phase of flight, unless it's a safety of flight issue, they're not talking.
Right.
They are simply observing.
Right.
So I legitimately forgot he was on the jump seat for a while.
Yeah.
Because he was so quiet.
Yeah, and that's a good sign. That's a good thing. So initially, I don't know about you, but initially I was given private, commercial, and instrument, single engine. And then as you progress, you can ask for more authorizations. So the next one I asked for was multi-engine authority, and they said, okay, yeah, find another applicant who's willing to let you give a check ride to them while we're observing you. So we did that, and so then I got multi-engine, and then I asked for CFI add-on, and I can't do CFI initials. I haven't even asked for it.
Mine was the exact same.
So
I'm up to, I guess the only thing I think I cannot do is CFI initial.
yeah, same.
But we can do ATP single, ATP multi, everything.
I can't do ATP single because I don't hold an ATP single. But anyway,
I do.
yeah. So anyway, so that's the process. That and that may take it probably takes years. So if you're thinking about it and you want to say, yeah, I'd like to do this. Well, don't say I think I'll apply next week. So in 3 weeks I can start doing check rides. The FAA doesn't move very fast. They move very slow. There's a couple of proposed rule changes that I just got an email. I think it was from NAFI, a National Association of Flight Instructors. If you are not a member, this is a plug. If you're not a member of NAFI, you ought to be a member of NAFI. I want to say if you're a flight instructor, I want to say the dues for NAFI are about $50 a year, and you save 33% on your 4-flight subscription. So I pay $50 a year, and I save $85 a year on 4-flight.
I just renewed 4-flight, and I have no idea about that.
Yeah. So join that. I mean, it's just from the economics, it makes a whole lot of sense. But anyway, there's three rule changes, and one of them is I think is a really big deal. I'm not sure why it's being proposed, but I don't think it will. Well, anyway, we'll just talk about it. The first one has to do with number of flight tests a day, number of CFI flight tests a day, and I just saw the headline of it, and I don't know the ins and outs of the actual proposed rule. I'm thinking.
I think you can do one initial a day.
Yeah.
And you can do more, but you can only do one CFI initial.
Yeah.
Now that can be an initial, an initial discontinuance, an initial retest.
Right.
But if the word initial is anywhere in it, you can only do one of those a day. So if they messed up one flight maneuver and the retest is half an hour, you can still only do one.
Yeah. The second rule proposal is they are going to prohibit DPEs from collecting any money until after the applicant is qualified. And we're just talking about this. I don't collect money until after the applicant is qualified. Anyway, you don't either. I don't know of any of the examiners here in Houston.
I don't think anybody does.
Who does. So I looked at that and I go, well, that's not going to change one thing in the way I do business. I mean, I would say 1 out of every 25 check rides I have, I don't know, maybe 1 out of every 50, but there's a percentage where we get in there and we realize, you don't
meet the qualification. Yeah, you don't meet the qualifications, the minimums from the FARs.
Right. You got 2 hours of nighttime. You need 3 hours for a private. Oh yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. See you later.
Yeah. See you in a week.
And I don't charge for that. So that's kind of again for us not that big of a deal. The third one. Currently, the rule is for us to give a multi-engine check ride, we must have 5 hours of pilot and command type in that type airplane. So, for instance, if someone comes in and says a twin Comanche is kind of an airplane that's sort of popular, I've got 0 time as pilot and command of a twin Comanche. So I can't give a multi-engine check ride in a twin Comanche. That's one that comes up to me. Right now, that rule does not apply to single-engine airplanes, but they want to apply.
That's the proposed change. They want to change that to singles.
I think you're probably listening to this and you're thinking, well, that's a really really good idea. Well, maybe it is, maybe it's not, and I'll give you a couple examples. I have zero time in zero pilot and command time in a Cessna Cardinal, a 177, which is kind of a little bit more performance than a 172, a little bit less than a 182.
It's a glorified 172.
Yeah, if you look at it, it looks like a 172 without struts.
It's a lowrider 172.
Yeah, exactly. I've probably given 4 or 5 check rides in a Cessna Cardinal, and I have zero pilot and command time. So that would stop. The big one for me is Cirrus's. Do you have any Cirrus pilot and command
I
time?
have lots of Cirrus time.
Okay, all right. I've got 8/10. One of the local Cirrus dealers offered to give me an intro flight to get me to come out and do some check rides for him, and so I've got about 8/10 in a SR20. I've given many check rides in a Cirrus. I've gone out to the United Aviate Academy out in Goodyear, Arizona, and done check rides out there. I wouldn't be able to do that anymore.
I have a lot of single engine types. It's weird flying it once or twice. That's a couple hours, but it may not be 5.
Right.
I don't have any single time in a Diamond, in a this little Rotec, the Technums.
Yeah.
I have 0 PIC in that, 0 PIC in a Technum.
I have 2 check rides scheduled Monday. We're recording, it's a Saturday. 2 days from now, I have 2 check rides scheduled in a Diamond. And again, I've got 0 pilot and command time in a Diamond.
I've given check rides in both of them. It's not, I can see where they're going with it, but it could be detrimental. Not per se, I think, for the big flight schools. I think it's an instrument check ride for a private owner in their Bonanza, in their Cirrus. It's going to rule. It has pros and cons. I don't know, I hate to say this, a single is a single to me.
Yeah.
The twins, you're going to want to know what you're doing in the twin, because that'll come up and bite you pretty quick.
Right. So, I think for the people who have more, and I hate to say the word obscure, but the less popular airplanes, if you got a 172, it's probably not going to be an issue. A Piper Warrior or any Piper Cherokee, not going to be an issue. I gave a check ride many years ago to an applicant in a J5 Cub. Did you even know there was such thing as a J5
I
Cub?
thought it was J3s.
Okay, there's J3s. A J5 is a little bit wider, and you can actually put 2 real skinny people in the back seat. There are 2.
Oh, wow.
It's like a school bus seat back there, and if they're really skinny, you can put two people back there. But how many people have time in a J5 Cub? Probably
and
not
not
many.
only that, 5 hours.
Yes.
And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is if you're not obviously doing it every day. So that's where I think the big flight schools, this isn't going to be an issue. It's going to be those obscured. It'll affect kind of instrument commercial rides, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, I mean the single engine Beechcraft, Sundowner,
Never flown it.
Sierras. I've got 0 time pilot and command time in those type airplanes. Again, I've done check rides. So anyway, that's a proposed change in the rules.
So there's always a reason for the rule. I haven't. Yes, I'm a NAFI member. Maybe I skimmed over, haven't read the email yet. There's clearly going to be reasons for why they're proposing this.
Yeah.
And this isn't. We're just bringing this out. This
Yeah.
is what they are thinking of trying to do.
I'm sure there's a good reason, but there's I don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
Correct.
Again, it may not go through, but there are times as an examiner. We do how much for a given check ride. Let's say a typical check ride, Jason. How much time are you spending at home entering stuff, coordinating? I mean, is it fair to say probably for every check ride you're spending another hour of doing administrative work?
Cumulatively, I would do entering the check ride. That's not overly long. I won't do I'll do a bunch of post flight reports,
Right.
kind of all together. I actually try to not do anything at home.
Yeah.
I'll try to do it when I'm in Denver.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
away from home, but I get it.
I do a lot on layovers. I was telling other
A
airlines.
lot of the admin stuff is done not anywhere near the family.
But there's a lot of coordination going on with we're dealing with some horrendous weather and maybe some really icy situations here in Houston this weekend, and so check rides are canceling left and right, and so there's a lot of coordination, a lot of texting, phone calls going back with the applicants. I've had both of my check rides that I have had scheduled for tomorrow. Both of the applicants sent me a text and said they would like to discontinue the check ride because of weather. And I said, okay, I understand what you're meaning. We're not going to do the check ride, but it is technically not a discontinuance. The only way we can discontinue, just think of the word discontinue, means to discontinue, you have to have started. So, when we do the pre-briefing that we'll give you, we'll talk about we have 3 possible outcomes today of this check ride. First one is that we issued the certificate. Another one is a disapproval notice, and the third one is a discontinuance. We started, and for some reason we couldn't finish. And the most common ones are somebody got sick. Well, probably the most common is weather. The weather was supposed to come up, but it didn't.
I'd probably go weather, sick, maintenance, or mechanical.
Right. So you technically, we're just canceling a check ride, which is fine. I mean, and it's obviously it's very much the right decision, because
we're not
going to be able to fly tomorrow. We're going to.
So yeah, Houston. I know it's for anybody up north. Yeah, it'll be 20 degrees, 25 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not horrible, but when the city has no infrastructure for any type of ice or cold weather, that's where it kind of yields the emergency. So Houston is, I would say tomorrow, Houston is pretty much going to shut down.
Yeah.
Like my kids, their school, it's already canceled on Monday.
Yeah. I went and got groceries the other day, and I wanted to buy a loaf of bread. I could not buy bread that had crust on it. I had to buy crustless bread. Did you know there was such a thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
The kids don't like. I like the Uncrustables.
Okay.
Those are the strawberry ones. Those are awesome.
All right.
But you got to freeze them, because then it's like peanut brittle. It's like a dessert.
That sounds good.
It's good.
But the point is, Houston has kind of panicked a little bit, and maybe rightly so. Maybe we are shut down for a couple of days and without power and that kind of stuff.
I think Intercontinental. I think the big airport that is tomorrow.
Yeah,
is not going to be good.
I did notice the FBO that we're at has a generator outside.
I saw that. I was like, they're prepared.
So I thought if I lose power at home, if I can get here, I'll come sleep here.
All the bridges will be iced. Yeah, at least there'll be power and heat. Oh, that is a good idea.
Yeah. What else? What else to impart to our aspiring DPEs?
So we'll put there's going to be flight time minimums that you have to have, and I'm totally spitballing. It's 1,500 to 2,000 total time. A lot of it is PIC. I know that it seems like a lot. It's probably not a lot, especially for the airline guys. That's just flight time. Right. I would say the bigger thing is the breakdown of instruction given. That was, and I was going through, we were talking before we started filming, I went through for days for my interview through 5 and 6 logbooks, highlighting if this was an instrument flight, if this was for a commercial, for a private, for an ATP, for a whatever it might be. But you have to prove through your logbooks, and ergo, that's the plug for an e-logbook again. So when it counts, put a code. This is for instructors, obviously, but put CFII in the remarks. CF, or just, private, instrument, commercial, put what you were actually or what rating these people were going for, because if you ever want this down line, all you do is just go search and then tally the totals.
Yeah.
But I went through paper logbooks for days.
Yeah.
With my wife, highlighting and counting up 1.1, 2.3, 1.8, whatever it might be. And you have to have a minimum of commercial or ATP given. The high one, surprisingly, is CFII. That was actually the hard one.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a lot until you truly start counting up an hour. I want to say CFII was either 250 or 300 dual given towards an instrument rating.
Yeah.
That was the hard one.
I had, in my old paper logbooks, I had dual given, but I didn't have CFII time. Another one I want to say they asked for multi-engine nighttime. Or there was something like that. There were several things that they were asking for that I did not have a column for. I had multi-engine. I could say I got X amount of multi-engine time. I got Y amount of nighttime. But how much multi-engine nighttime did I have? You had to go in and then extract it. So an electronic logbook, I'm assuming you could probably then go in and say how much multi-engine nighttime.
That's the kicker. So I was going through, and that's just the GA side of the airline side of the house. That's easy. We have logs for that. But the GA side of the house, I was doing that to 6,000 hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. So if you're interested in this, I know it sounds weird. You're potentially multiple years away, but a little bit of pre-planning will save you a lot of heartache in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, as we said, we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't think it was a good gig. I mean, do we do it for the financial gain? I'm going to say no. I do it for the love of it, and I enjoy it.
No, I do too. I think it's good. As silly as that sounds, it's good. It's fun. I love meeting all the applicants. I love trying to help and make an influence at the school, or at the schools rather. So no, it's just a good time. I like teaching. I had my initial instructor stuff from kind of the 2000s, and then I went heavy back into instruction over the COVID time frame, and that's actually where DPEs reached out to me and said you should apply, and I said I have applied, and I guess there was a need, and then I was known because I think in 1 year, as silly as I had pushing 900 hours of single engine, single multi, and I had something like 45 sign-offs.
Wow.
So I was known, put it that way.
Yeah. And I would say this: if you do apply, you'll apply through the system called Designee Management System. Every couple of months, just go in and make sure your application is there. We just both know a gentleman who had applied, and he just went in and looked at his application, and it was gone. He called the FA, the IT guys up in Oklahoma City, and they said, we don't know. We don't know what happened to your application. So he had to reapply.
So and it times out every year.
Yeah.
So if you apply January 15th, put a note in your calendar somewhere for January 10th.
Yeah.
To basically re-up and reapply, so your application stays current.
Yeah. So that's it. If you got any other questions, email us. You can email us directly. We get a lot of comments on the social media, on the feeds, and a lot of times people ask questions in that, and we're just going to say you're not going to get a response from us there.
Just email us the questions.
Email us directly.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, and a lot of times that you're asking questions that I'm not going to say private or personal stuff, but we just feel a little bit more comfortable just answering those questions to you. So anyway, that's it. We'll see you next time. If you don't mind, hit like and subscribe down there. Tell your friends about us, and if you're watching us somewhere other than YouTube, go over to YouTube. Hit subscribe. We sure would appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, y'all.